We are Cactus Wrestling. Today we're going to be previewing the 2023 U.S. Wrestling Open men's weight classes. And I don't know, guys, I think this might be one of the most stacked U.S. Opens we've ever had.
Definitely.
Yeah, this has got to be one of the deepest years by far. It just seems like everyone and their mom has entered.
Yeah. No, yeah,
Well, let's
everyone.
let's
Yeah.
take it from the top. It's going to be an interesting field at 57 kilograms. Spencer Lee, he's the big name in this weight class. I mean, Pat Glory's there too. I don't overlook the reigning
Yeah,
Maybe
national
we'll
champion.
actually get to see Glory and Lee wrestle.
I wouldn't hold your breath. I think that I think Lee is even injured is head and shoulders better than this whole field. I just think that he's freestyle is his best style. It's his preferred style. He loves to be on top anyway. I
Right.
think that this is where he wants to live. I mean, he blitzed the field like when he did this, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago when he had no ACLs. He like
That's
tech
true.
NATO. I
Yeah.
mean, he just ran through it. He's like, yeah, I'm not healthy enough to compete any further. I just wanted to win the U.S. Open.
Right. But yeah, he's got. I mean, yeah, a lot of this field is NCAA qualifiers or All Americans, or even got Glory national champ. I mean,
Yeah,
Zane Richards is definitely going to be a contender here because of his just storied placements over the past several years, and even Nick Suriano got national champ there, multiple time national champ there.
I just don't think Siriano's style matches up well against some of these
yeah.
other guys.
That's true.
I think
He's he's not a
he's
big point
owns.
scorer.
But hey, I mean, then you also got CT native Jacob Camacho.
Yeah, just missed some time because of his. I mean, didn't wrestle last year as we saw because of his injury. I think this is his first competition back. It'll be great to see how he's feeling, how he's moving, how he's shaking, all that fun stuff. Um, and like you said off camera, he Camacho beat Matt Ramos last time they
Yeah.
wrestled in freestyle.
Yeah.
And as we saw, Ramos is he's pretty good.
He's made some noise for himself. He's made a name for himself.
Yes, overnight
Stuff of
celebrity.
legends here.
Do we think so? Let's say Spencer Lee wins this field. Do we think between him and Thomas Gilman, who's winning that spot at Final X?
I think there's going to be so much hype around that, like the changing of the guard question mark.
Right.
Thomas Gilman leaving Iowa to go to Penn State. You know, Spencer Lee staying re-upping his contract with the
Yeah.
Hawkeye
He
Wrestling
just
Club
re-upped that, right?
for 5 years. I think they said.
Yeah.
And if he wins, is it what do people say? And if he loses, do we hear people say, well, he's not healthy, he's injured? Where
That's
do you
true.
stand behind it? What do you say? I think looking at past success, Spencer Lee was more successful, obviously, at a younger age than Gilman was. Three-time world champion in high school, didn't get to wrestle his fourth year because of injury. But he hasn't, as crazy it sounds, hasn't done anything in freestyle really since then.
Right.
And while we've seen Thomas Gilman, all he's done is win gold medal for world, silver medal for world, bronze at the Olympics, most recently another silver medal at the Worlds.
Yeah.
And he wrestled, I think last year they said with a broken foot or something, or maybe that was at the Olympics. I don't remember.
Oh yeah. No, I don't remember when that injury was, but
But
You got to
yeah.
think
I mean,
Spencer Lee is coming with a vengeance
yeah,
after NCAA's though.
Spencer Lee, I
yeah.
think in my mind, I mean he doesn't seem like a guy that looks ahead, but I feel like Spencer Lee's house, apartment, whatever, has like a picture of Thomas Gilman like circled like Rocky Four, and it's on the mirror. And he's gonna do that dramatic, like crushes the photo and throws it. I don't think he's thinking about Zane Richards or Caleb Smith or Steve O'Poulin. I think
Or
he's
Pat
thinking,
Glory.
yeah, I think he's like, okay, I'll beat Nick Suriano in the finals, and then I'll sit, and then I'll wrestle Thomas Gilman, and I'll beat him, and then I'll win a world championship, and then I'm back on my feet where I want to be.
Right.
I think that he's got his checklist, and I really think Spencer Lee is like, this is what I've been waiting for. Full time freestyle, folk style was fun, but that ship is done. It's all into the freestyle career now, and I think he's coming just like Jack said with the vengeance.
Yeah. No, I think you guys are right. Lee's probably going to win the U.S. Open and run into Thomas Gilman, and that'll be a very interesting matchup. I think Gilman made huge improvements when he switched to the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. So it'll be interesting to see how, basically Iowa versus Iowa slash Penn State match up against one another.
I think that the Gilman thing is so interesting still because I remember watching him, years ago and be like, man, he's really technique wise not where I thought he would be. And then when he switched to Nittany Lion Wrestling Club, they talk about his offense now. They talk about how much more of a proficient scorer he is. I think that we're still seeing Thomas Gilman make improvements, leaps and bounds, and it'll be interesting to see if the gap is widened or closed because people said he left because Spencer Lee was beating him in the room.
That'd be great if that's true. That's great because then maybe Lee's about to come claim his spot and Gilman's about to be like, hey, you had a nice little career there for a few years.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember like people saying like, oh, why is Thomas Gilman like the face of Hawkeye wrestling? Because again, you thought of Thomas Gilman, you thought that's Iowa. Yeah, I mean, they had the Gilman film on Flow where he like bumped into a dude and he's like, oh, like we'll square up right now. We'll meet up in the parking lot. And you're like, man, that's Terry and Tom Brands if I've ever seen it.
Right. Exactly.
And now Gilman's so different. And again, you take the personality of your coach in a lot of ways. But I think it'd be really interesting because if he was getting beat by Spencer Lee, like people were claiming, and you never know why an athlete leaves to go to another place, it'll be really interesting to see if, what's changed in the last few years.
Very true. Yeah.
But I got Suriano losing to Spencer Lee in the finals. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I think Lee's going to make it there. I mean, I think an interesting matchup might be Glory on Suriano, like in an earlier round.
Yeah.
Since they had a really close folk style match, maybe Freestyle changes things up and maybe Glory can switch things up, or maybe Suriano just runs away with it. But I don't think your prediction is going to be very far off from what happens.
Yeah, I'm more interested in the third, fourth match. I wonder who's going to be there. Because again, you can't discount Zane Richards, who's been pretty successful the last few years.
61 kilograms. I mean, the amount of NCAA champions in this weight class: Seth Gross, Nathan Tomasello, Nashawn Garrett, Vito Arujau, Nico Megaludis, Austin DeSanto. He never won a title, but I mean, Iowa Hawkeye taking third probably every year. Cody Brewer won a national championship. I mean, this one very, very deep.
You got Joe Colon, who wasn't he a world team member?
Yeah. I think at 57, or it might have been 61, actually. I remember him wrestling at Beat the Streets as well.
Yeah.
I think a lot of eyes are going to be on Vito Arujau after shocking the world with the win against RBY.
Right.
He's a name to watch at this weight class.
For sure.
I think we're going to see Vito 2.0. People said he was cutting too much weight to make 57 and /125. And, he got blanked by Thomas Gilman in Final Act. It was just like more than a step ahead of RBY speed wise. It was crazy.
Yeah, that was
it was crazy to me.
Hard to wrap your head around that was actually possible to be faster than RBY and able to just make RBY look like he didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see DeSanto. DeSanto seems to be turning a corner in the freestyle scene.
Yeah, wrestling internationally. He's been there. For sure.
Unleash DeSanto. I think his style fits freestyle pretty well. I think that he's tough. He's gritty. He's high paced. He loves feet to back with his dump. I got a chuckle out. I don't know who he was wrestling, but it was international. And because he has that, he's gripping the tricep when he's hitting his dump so hard. A guy he wrestled in the finals complained to the ref, and he was like showing him his arm. He's like, yeah, like he's doing like it's illegal. So they like hit him for something, but they're like, yeah, you can't be. You're holding his arm too hard, too tight.
You're holding him too tight.
You're too strong.
Yeah, I think that he's just Austin DeSanto's pace, his style, his intensity, and again, like I just think he's suited for freestyle more than folk style. I think that he loves to be in neutral.
So you think he might beat 6 NCAA champs to get the U.S. Open title?
I think DeSanto's one of the best to win a national title.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I mean, he's so offensive. He's fun to watch. Well, it's interesting. We haven't even talked about Seth Gross, who
The returning world team
Yeah,
member.
right. It's Seth Gross. He's like in my mind like Logan Stever, just gets no respect for like his
Yeah.
accomplishments.
Well, and he was in the bronze medal match. He didn't win, but he was in the bronze medal match last year. So like, had he won that match, he'd just be sitting in Final X, like, hey. But not this go.
it's gonna be an uphill battle with this field. But 65 kilograms is another very deep weight class. Yanni will
Yanni
be
took
the Final X
silver. Yeah.
member, and you know, lot of it's a deep field. You look at Nick Lee, Bo Bartlett from Penn State, Ridge Lovett was a returning national finalist. He redshirted this past year, but Luke Pletcher, Chad Red, multiple time All American, deep weight class.
This is going to be interesting. I feel like when Nick Lee's on, he's tough to beat. I mean, I just
Yeah.
remember a few years back when he beat Yanni, Zane, and McKenna
Oh, yeah. I remember this.
in the same day. I don't remember who his third guy was.
He was
You're
all
like, my
yeah,
God.
yeah.
I remember he
was
beat
like,
Yanni.
yeah, he beat Yanni and Zane Rutherford in the same day.
Yeah, that was just like
In back-to-back matches.
and
And he
that was
didn't
like after
finesse.
Yanni and Zane had like a crazy
Yeah,
finals match at the previous
yeah.
event.
So I think when he's on and he's in wrestling mode, it's tough to beat Nick Lee. One thing though, he recently started like his own company, I think a clothing line. And one thing you got to wonder is, hey, like, are you entering the U.S. Open fully into wrestling, or you just, how much does your personal life play in a factor where you have your new business that you're just starting, you have wrestling, like how do you balance them both? And like I said, when Nick Lee's on, he's on. But you got to wonder, is he going to be fully in wrestling mode? Obviously, it's tough to have a senior level, to wrestle in the senior level because you can see these guys, doing tournaments all the time, international traveling, blah, blah, blah. Or you can be like, oh, yeah, like I'm not entering anything, but I've been grinding for 9, 10, 11 months, just putting in the work.
Right.
Or you could be like, hey, like I'm at the senior level, but I'm off like, 4 days a week.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
So it'll be interesting to see what version we get of him. I love
Another
Nick Lee. Think he's got a very good shot to be in the top. That
That's
being
true.
said, I think Joey McKenna is still one of the guys to watch out for.
Yeah, I was just about to say Joey McKenna is another guy that very similar to Nick Lee. When he's on, he's on and like he's got so many scoring options. It's crazy. So like he could definitely be a contender to win this bracket. Even Evan Henderson, I mean, I know he's not as storied a name, but like when he gets going, like he can pull off some crazy upsets and win some tournaments. So like this bracket's really, I mean, even though Yanni's the guy there, the U.S. Open at least, like I feel like you got a lot of solid options of guys that could be making a title run for this U.S. Open and challenging Yanni.
I'm excited for Ridge Lovett as well. I think that, his red shirt year, we're like, okay, what's been up? Were you doing a lot of freestyle? Were what was going on? Because I think that if he didn't sit, Nebraska maybe has a very good shot to really up those team points.
For sure. I mean, he's an All-American at worst case scenario.
Yeah. And so I wonder if he's been like just training freestyle or what. I'm looking forward to see Schnalte and see if he's going to mob Anthony National.
Schnalte.
I love it. Schnalte be mobbing. I think he's great. I'm excited to see Bo Bartlett. I think that
I don't think he's making a run for this title.
So Bo's a multi-time world team member, and although he took a step back last year in his freestyle, he took a huge step forward in his wrestling ability. Going from I don't even think he not qualifying for nationals to being a third placer in a pretty deep weight class. So Penn State knows how to make guys good. That's it. Everyone it's out there. Penn State, they're beasts. They know how to coach it up. And I guess it depends. Like, hey, if Kale says, hey, like we want you guys to do freestyle or just wrestling's wrestling. Folk style is your focus, but let's get some freestyle matches in here while we can. So we always wonder.
Curious on your guys' thoughts on Cole Matthews and Matt Kolodzik. You think Cole Matthews, after not All-American, is going to do anything? You think Kolodzik is ready to make a tear on the freestyle scene, or you think these guys are just fading into irrelevance?
Cole Matthews is a counter wrestler, and I don't think that plays well into freestyle. Matt Kolodzik is an absolute bull, kind of like Pat Lugo.
Yep, very
So
Pat Lugo-esque.
I just don't know if he has maybe some of the technique. They're physical
Yeah.
beasts. I think some of these other wrestlers are just better wrestlers.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about Chad Red? He gonna make the podium?
I think
He's always
Chad
good
Red's
for an All American, but I don't know.
Chad Red's biggest accomplishment to me was beating Nick Lee in high school.
In high school.
I think Chad Red came into college with much high, like people thought he was gonna be a lot better. And again, he was a multi-time All-American. It's not saying he's bad.
Yeah.
I just said like this is a dude that
You thought they were gonna be Nebraska's next national title?
yeah, I mean this is a dude that was like dunking on people left and right in high school, including over Nick Lee, I think twice.
Yeah.
We are like, oh, like this guy's a beast. Nick Lee's a two-time national champion. Chad Red must be a lot better in theory than him. But I guess he's just someone that was never able to put it together at the college level. And I think the
He
same
probably
thing. I think
kind of didn't make a lot of improvements since high
yeah,
school.
but I think the same thing. I think he's going to continue to struggle on the senior level.
70 kilograms. Zane Train is the Final X guy. In terms of the U.S. Open fields, another deep, talented weight class. You got Ed Scott and Hayden Hidley and Tariq Wilson from NC State, all at the same weight. Sam Sasso, who was the runner-up for the NCAAs. Caleb Henson,
who's
freshman.
All-American.
Yaya Thomas, yep.
Marcus
Pantelio,
All-American.
tough for Michigan. I think
Wasn't Bergland a lot lighter when he All-American? Wasn't he like significantly lighter, like 133 compared to which is like 61 kilograms compared to 70.
I think I mean this is a pretty open weight. I don't know freestyle wise. I know Pantelio.
Yeah, Pantaleo's my pick here.
I gotta say I disagree, Jack. I think it's the opposite. I think Pantelio has this pretty much locked up.
Yeah, I think it. If Pantaleo's not there, then I 100% agree. It's kind of wide open. I think it's wide open to see who's in the finals against Pantaleo.
I mean, Pantelio, what was it? He recently beat three-time world champion Hajij Alayev at the Zagreb Open in February. I think Pantelio is just if
he's ready to give Zane a run for his money, huh?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
he's ready to be in Final X with Zane.
I think that if Zane wasn't there, Pantelio is the world team rep all day and twice on Sunday.
You know, Ed Scott is a guy that likes big moves. He could always catch someone off guard, and
I don't think Pantaleo is the guy that he's going to catch off guard. I think you're right. He'll probably upset someone. If Tariq Wilson, Hayden Hidley, or Ed Scott run into one another, who do you think is going to come out on top between those three?
I mean, based on folk style, I guess Hayden Hidley was the.
I'd say Hayden.
The most.
Especially because Tariq was a lot lighter back.
Yeah, he was like 133 at one point.
When he All-American and did that run and gave Steve a run and all that, he was 33.
But Pantelio is ranked like number 6 in the world, and Zane's number 2, and no one else from America is ranked in the top 20.
Yeah, so I
think Pantelio's got a really. If he doesn't win, I would say it'd be an upset.
I think it'd be a shock that if Pantaleo doesn't get this spot, who doesn't win the U.S. Open.
But Tyler Berger's tough. Him and Nolf had their back and forths. I like Ed Scott. I like Hayden Hidley. I think that they did some great stuff for NC State. Ed Scott's still going there. I always feel like Yaya Thomas would be a great freestyle wrestler.
Well, we'll find out, I guess.
Do you know who he beat a few years back in the juniors? I think it was this Funky 2.0 Ben Askren clone that happens to wrestle for Mizzou, named Keegan O'Toole.
Oh.
And Keegan, as we saw, went on to be a world champion.
And two-time NCAA champion now.
Yep. So I think Yaya Thomas has the potential to be a great freestyle wrestler. I just feel like something about
maybe his style works better with freestyle than with its just exposure instead of control.
Yeah. So I'd like to see him place, but I don't. Again, I think Pantaleo's just head and shoulders above, but it's too tough.
Yeah.
74
kilograms. Has Kyle Dake? Is he the final X guy?
Yeah, he's the final X. Yep.
He's committed. Dake, okay, so
of the NLWC.
Yeah. He left the Spartan for
interesting stuff. Interesting stuff over there.
I think I think it's going to be tough for any of these guys to take down Dake. I think Keegan O'Toole will be interesting. Vincenzo Joseph will be interesting. Jason Nolf will be interesting. Um,
Yeah.
but I don't think any of these
You
guys.
don't think Caleb Young of Iowa will be interesting at a heavier weight?
Slower.
No, I don't.
Slower.
Um, I think that again, this is one of those like Jason Nolf, pretty heavy favored in weight classes.
Who do you think between Nolf and Joseph?
Nolf.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that I love Vincenzo Joseph. I wish he stayed with the NLWC, but I think that he just doesn't have the number of Jason Nolf. I think Vincenzo is just not there. He's a great wrestler, just like everybody in this. I mean, it's crazy to think like Keegan O'Toole could be someone that potentially doesn't even make the top four.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he's also against senior level guys. So, like,
Yeah,
because I mean, Shields is not a slouch. Joey Lavalley's not a slouch. Tommy Gant, I mean, I don't think he ever quite lived up to what he was supposed to at NCAAs, but like, he's still always a solid competitor.
Julian Ramirez loves to score points. Loves.
Julian Ramirez, I mean, he's got what, 2 matches with 60 points in folk style?
Yeah. I think that freestyle would benefit him. I think he's going to be like, "Oh, you mean I could just be done if I score 10 points?"
Yeah, yeah, right.
Because he's like, "Oh, I'm up 9-0, and then I'm just going to gas."
Like, he has to give up a bunch of points.
Um,
I like Nolf. I think he has that Kale Sanderson type style with like the low single, kind of lankier, similar-ish to like Aaron Brooks type style shots.
Right.
I just don't think he's quite ready to beat Dake.
What about Peter
Yeah.
Pappas?
George Mason.
Hey, he knows how to
Yeah.
scramble.
That's true. Check out our scramble video right here. I'll put the link right here somewhere. But yeah, it's gonna be tough to beat Dake. 74 kilos.
yeah, I think Dake's got a stranglehold.
Yeah, I mean, didn't Dake make Nolf look like a JV wrestler the last time they
He
wrestled?
beat him like a drum. I think he teched him. And again, like I was amazed. Like it's
Yeah,
watching Jason Nolf's high school, college, early international career. Like man, this dude is the dude.
yeah,
He's a beast. And then Dake
yeah.
was like, oh yeah, like I'll just mess around with him.
Oh, should I use one hand? Okay.
It was like, do you guys remember when Ben Askren wrestled Jordan Burroughs at Beat the Streets for like the charity match?
Oh yeah.
And then like he just like ran him off the platform.
Yeah.
And again, it was just like, well, there's levels to it. Ben Askren's an incredible wrestler, Olympian,
Right.
multi-time, Hodge Trophy winner. But there's just such big levels within the levels. It's
Yeah.
like, well, I'm a college wrestler and you're a college wrestler. It goes, okay, but you could be here and I could be down here.
Yeah.
Same thing with
Yeah.
the international scene. It's like, oh, we're both
Yeah.
senior level wrestlers, both in the same weight class, but we're huge differences. And I think that's where we're going to see a lot of these guys here.
79 kilograms. I think we have to talk about this name. One of the, most touted wrestlers for his school. The one, the only, Alex Marinelli. No, I'm just kidding. Carter Starucci.
The bull?
Carter, I was like, for a second, I was
Starucci.
like, dang, I was not sure where that was going.
I wasn't expecting that.
Carter Starucci. I think Marinelli wishes he was at the level Starucci's at.
It's tough because Marinelli, again, was like really talented high school wrestler.
Yeah.
I think he went back and forth with Mark Hall. It's different, like watching old film because Alex has hair then.
Yeah, he really is a bull now.
He was just short hair in college and in high school he was longer. It's just it's tough to recognize him.
So Carter Starucci is pretty adamant about beating Jordan Burroughs for the spot.
Yeah, but I mean, last year at the Big Tens, he said he's going to be the best in the world, and he bronzed at the U23s.
It's all part of the master plan. I'm telling you. No one wants to see you win all the time. You gotta take a loss. You gotta take a loss every now and then.
He's also got guys that have beat him. Kemmerer's in this bracket. Marsteller's in this bracket.
David McFadden's tough.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, you got Derringer, who
He
used to
beat
be ranked
Derringer.
top 10 in the world.
You got Danelle Washington. Carter Starucci's looking forward to
round 3 with Danelle Washington. Let's go.
The most random rivalry in in amateur
I mean, even
wrestling.
even Taylor Lujan, who was in that when they floated that feature with like the 8 guys at the same weight, Lujan ended up making like the semis or the finals of that 8-man bracket. I think he beat Gabe Dean.
Gabe Dean's like semi-retired though, right?
Well, yeah, when he did, yeah.
Top three names to watch out for are Derringer, Marsteller, and Starachi. I
Okay,
think
I
that
was going to say top four: Derringer, Marcelo Starachi, and McFadden.
I would like to see Karchla in there as well. I
I
feel like he's not a huge point scorer though.
no, he's yeah, no.
No,
I feel like he's the guy that gets upset.
Yeah.
He's the guy that always
yeah.
seems to get upset. How do you guys think Rashkopf and Jamal Morris, NC State former guys, are going to do at not this heavy of a weight?
Oh, it'll be interesting there.
I
I,
think they're
I,
one and done.
I wonder how Mikey Labs is going to do, actually.
Who?
Mikey Labs.
Hey,
Oh,
Labriola is in here.
we're
I
not
feel
giving
like,
him much credit here,
yeah, I
but
you
mean,
think this is the style where he can beat Starochi instead? Like he's
no,
like, yeah, I've been
no.
waiting for this. I
no,
let
yeah.
you win at NCAAs. I let you win at Big Tens. I let you win in the
No,
duels.
it's tough when you get pinned in the first period.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
he put himself on his back. So I mean,
Whoa, whoa,
it would have
whoa.
been bad if Starochi didn't pin him there.
Carter willed that to happen. He didn't. He forced that movement. He was like, I'm gonna get in your head. Think two moves ahead. I'm gonna make you Granby. I'm gonna catch you. I'm gonna pin you. And he was like, that's what's gonna happen. And he willed
Yeah.
it to happen.
Okay.
He's that much better.
Yeah. Okay.
And I like Carter a lot. I think he's one of my coworkers actually grew up with him, so it's crazy.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, they grew up in Erie together, and he was like, yeah, like Carter's a dog, dude. Like we would go to like we would hang out with friends, and then be like, okay, six guys would try to take him at once, just to see if they could, and then he would like beat pin them all, and he's like, yeah, like who's next? Like he just Carter's just a competitor,
Yeah.
and he talks a lot of smack, but he backs it up almost like 99% of the time.
It's true. It's true.
Okay. Okay.
Gotta respect it.
Yeah, I think Marsteller is my pick to win the U.S. Open here.
I got Starachi.
Really?
I
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Marcelo versus Starachi in the finals. And wait, it's just one match. It's not 2 out of 3, right?
Yeah, no, it's just one match.
Yeah, one match, and then the winner of that one match goes to Final X
Right, where it's
against
2 out of 3.
Jordan Burroughs.
It's all coming into plan for Carter. So he's going to beat Burroughs this year, win the Worlds, and then he'll go down to 74, where he said he's going to beat Dake next year. Which again,
But Burroughs is going to be there too.
yeah, but it's okay because he's already beaten him once, so he's already in his head. Carter did an interesting interview where he talked about like beating them both, but again, like Kyle Dake is now at NLWC. Like they wrestle each other. They have to. I mean, I guess they
Oh,
don't
right.
have to,
Yeah,
but
I see
like
what you mean.
there's got to be a match in there somewhere where he's like, oh yeah, like
You don't
he's like,
think
yeah, yeah.
Dake spends all of his time wrestling Taylor?
Yeah.
That's a good point, actually.
Instead of, oh, let me wrestle this, college guy or, world champ,
I
Olympic
don't
champ.
know. I mean, Starachi's impressive. He is a college guy, but he's
He's a
one
dog.
of the top.
He's a dog, man. He's a dog.
He
But
is a
he has
dog.
not done anything on the senior or even U23 level. He's only gotten bronze. So
This could
It's
be his
all
year.
a ploy. It's all a ploy. I'm telling you.
86 kilograms. You got the big bad David Taylor, Olympic gold.
maybe that's why this bracket's not too deep.
Yeah, but I
Everyone's
mean, you
afraid
got
of
some
Taylor.
interesting names. I mean, Zahid, Mark
Yeah.
Hall, Aaron Brooks.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, and then you got David Key or Dustin Plott, Owen Webster, but I mean, none of them are quite as the high
I
name
think
as
it's
the
got to
first
be
few.
Dylan Fishback's weight to lose.
I think it's gonna be interesting seeing Aaron Brooks, who
Yeah,
has been training with probably Taylor for many years now. He's a young up and coming guy. I think he's on a different level than Mark Hall,
You
who's
think Brooks is going to beat Hall?
yes,
yeah.
like no doubt in my mind, actually.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm interested in seeing Brooks versus Zahid. I think
Yeah.
that could be an
Yeah,
interesting.
that could probably be that'll actually probably be the finals match.
I agree.
Unless Mark Hall can beat him. I mean, then again, we don't know how the bracket's shaken out exactly, but I think Zahid is the odds-on favorite to win the U.S. Open.
Jordan Burroughs talking about Aaron Brooks at the NCAA's, and he was a high schooler, and he's training with them, and they're doing a live go, and Burroughs is just like, this kid's coming towards me. Who the heck is this? Like, this is an up and coming guy, and he only keeps getting better and better and better. That being said, David Taylor is a once in a generational talent.
Yeah.
Maybe Aaron Brooks is that too, but he's still got many years to go. I think Taylor's in his prime, and he's just going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, I mean, and I think Zahid has definitely made a separation from Mark Hall. Like
Yeah.
the match is not even close anymore. Like Mark Hall can't come close to beating Zahid. So even if Brooks is the guy that makes the finals, I don't know that he's necessarily able to beat Zahid. Zahid is, I think it's Zahid's tournament. I think he's going to win the U.S. Open. He's going to have David
Really?
Taylor. He'll probably have some competitive-ish matches with Taylor, but I don't. It'll probably be 2-0 Taylor. But like in the matches, will probably be within, I don't know, a few points. But I don't think Zahid's going to beat Taylor, and I don't think that Brooks is going to beat Zahid.
I think Zahid's going to be. I think he beats Hall. I think Zahid last time he wrestled Hall it was 6-0 and 10-0. I think Mark Hall is not in the running for the world spot.
I think he's in the running for the bronze medal at the U.S. Open.
Yes, for sure. Aaron Brooks is a beast. I think that you can kind of compare it. You kind of can't. His win over Amin, who that same year just took bronze at the Olympics, only losing to one person, David Taylor, who won the Olympic gold that year.
Yeah.
And that same year, he lost 2 times out of the 3 times they wrestled to Aaron Brooks. And granted, it's freestyle. It's not freestyle, it's folk style. But you got to think there's some comparison in there.
Right.
I think Zahid's the heavy favorite, but I think Aaron Brooks is closer to him than people might realize. And I would say expect to see Aaron Brooks in the finals against Zahid, Mark Hall going for third.
Okay.
But, Zahid wins, but I agree with you guys. I don't think Zahid's quite at that level to beat David Taylor yet. No. I was kind of surprised how close some of the matches were at Final X when him and David wrestled, but I think David Taylor was down at one point in one of the matches, like 4-0, and then stormed back. But
yeah, I think Zahid's going to win the U.S. Open. I think Zahid's going to lose Final X.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that Penn State has these 2 guys in Carter Strachey and Aaron Brooks on their current college roster and lineup that are in the discussion for
the conversation here.
Yeah, I mean, that's just I don't remember that ever happening. Maybe Cornell, like maybe with Vito and Yanni, but it just goes to show like the talent for Team USA is just better younger.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Like, besides that, like, again, like I keep hitting on this NLWC. I mean, you have in the same weight class Mark Hall, who's former NLWC, Aaron Brooks, who's current NLWC, who would be wrestling NLWC member David Taylor. When they win.
And he's also former NLW, like
the whole I feel like every weight class has a Penn State guy in there where you're like, oh yeah, he's gonna do some damage. I mean, 57 kilo, it's Thomas Gilman.
Yep.
65, you're like, oh well, there might be a push from a Penn State guy, Nick Lee, who's already beaten Yanni. 70, Zane Rutherford, Penn State. Kyle Dake, 74, Penn State. 79, you're like, oh, could Carter Starachi knock off Jordan? Have another NLWC guy, David Taylor, NLWC at 86. And we're talking about getting possibly knocked off by another NLWC member.
Well, and then, I mean, you didn't mention 61, but you got Nico Megaludis, former Penn State guy.
Yeah, true. Nico Megaludis, big guy. Who's he with now?
I don't know where he's currently wrestling with, but he is a former 2-time national champ. He hasn't been competing much lately, but
is there a hometown bias that Penn State is hosting the U.S. Olympic trials?
Oh, next year?
Bold question.
That'll be interesting.
I feel like, you talk about people getting carvered, like Carver Hawkeye. and where they get Iowa gets favorable calls, I wonder if people will say the same thing about Penn State, where they
Oh, they
have
might.
potentially. I mean, what
We
is
got
that?
Nittany.
Yeah, you got Nittany 4 out of 6, 5 out of 6 maybe for Penn State in going for the Olympic spots next year,
Wow.
Crazy.
being hosted by Penn State. I mean, it's just crazy. Just they're just on a whole. Penn State's dynasty is just it's like the in British Empire, like the sun never sets on them. But you guys ready for 92?
Yeah.
92. I mean, we got Trent Hidley, Nate Jackson, who I wrestled in college. He beat me. Uh, I wish I could say I beat any of these guys. Silas Allred, he beat Max Dean this year. Colin Moore is probably the favorite amongst these.
I'd say
Uh,
Nate Jackson, Colin Moore are probably the top two contenders.
yeah, they're a pretty set finals in my mind.
Yeah.
I think that
I mean, unless Morgan McIntosh can do some upset train now that he's out of retirement.
I don't know.
I mean Nate Jackson beat Jaden Cox one of the matches at Final X, but I feel like Colin Moore has been really hot. He has 2 wins over Nate Jackson recently, 12-6 of the 2021 World Team Trials, and then a 4-4 criteria win at the Rudis Super Match in March of 2022.
Yeah,
And Colin Moore, I think, won a world title, a U23 world title this past year.
and I mean, the interesting thing is these guys are all going to duke it out at US Open, and then that's only
Have to
one of
do
the
it again.
final X spots being filled. Then they're going to do the World Team Trials Challenge tournament, where they can all but one of them will get to do it all over again.
I think we're going to see a couple matches between Nate Jackson and Colin Moore. I
Yeah,
think we'll see the U.S. Open finals and then the Final X match as well.
right. You don't think Trent Hidley is going to be making a tear?
Uh, no, I don't. I mean, I like Hoagie Boy Hidley as much as the next guy, but
I
I
think
just think
he's so physical, and that's why he's successful at the collegiate level. But when you're wrestling these fully grown, in the peak of their athleticism guys, I just don't think that his underhook
yeah,
takedown, whatever that thing is, where he just kind of bum rushes you like a freight train. I don't think that's going to work at the international level.
No, you don't think so? Well, you're
I,
probably right, actually.
yeah, I agree. I think that he's not like an offensive juggernaut.
Oh yeah, you're right. And I mean, TJ Dudley, there were sparks in years past where he looked like he could become the guy, but lately I would say he's more of, I mean, kind of fizzling out. So, I mean, and then you even got Eric Schultz in there, who in NCAAs he was always right there in the mix for the top. But I'd like to see Schultz on all red, 2 Nebraska guys going at it. Well, actually, even Dudley's Nebraska, right? So
Yeah.
that's 3 Nebraska guys all in the same weight. Might be interesting to see how that shakes out, if any of them run into each other. But yeah, I think Colin Moore, Nate Jackson are going to be the 2 guys in the U.S. Open finals, and then probably the 2 guys in looking for that world team spot.
So 97 kilograms.
I got one. Wait, I'm just surprised Morgan McIntosh is in this a little bit.
What? Oh, coming out of retirement, you think Morgan?
Well, he's also like he's active duty Army, and he's not just like regular Army. He's 18E. I mean, he's actually Special Forces. I just don't know how he has time to like get away from the Army to be like, yeah, I'll join for this.
Oh yeah, no, I'll just go in this
Just
tournament
for
real quick.
giggles.
It's just
Yeah,
the U.S. Open. I'll just
a
be
good
in there for a
workout.
minute, and then
I mean, he's an athletic freak. I wouldn't be surprised if he beats some guys that like, oh shit, like that's crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if he knocked off a guy here that not someone like Colin Moore, but like an Eric Schultz or something.
no, yeah, I think McIntosh is definitely a dark horse to unseat some people that are expected to do better than they do.
Now let's get to 97. I think Cox versus Snyder.
Well, Snyder is in Final X, so yeah, Cox Snyder Final X probably. But for
I'm
the
jumping
U.S.
ahead
Open,
of here, but yeah.
Yeah, for the U.S. Open,
yeah.
I think I don't think he's going to really have any.
Be tested.
I mean, his top 3 contenders are all NC State guys. You got Machiavello, you got Trumbull, you got Malik McDonald. Like those are the probably top 3 guys that are going to be meeting him in the U.S. Open final. It's going to be Cox Machiavello in the finals, and that's
No, I disagree. I think I'm looking forward to see Ben Keeter
That's true.
from
Ben Cooter,
the
the
Iowa
Iowa
commit.
guy.
I
He's
missed
a
that name.
beast. Like just an absolute freak. This
Yeah.
He's
guy
playing
just beats
football there
everybody.
too, right? At Iowa.
I think he actually recently said he's not. I think he's just going to focus on wrestling fully.
Well, then there we
Interesting.
go.
I mean, he's, I believe, a world champion for age level as well. I think that he was a 2022 U20 world champion. Um, I think he's got to be someone considered as one of the top guys there.
So I think Machiavello and Cuter are going to be just battling for second place at the U.S. Open here. Then.
Yeah, I think Cox is pretty.
Is
Again,
Cooter going to be 97 or heavyweight for Iowa?
well, he walks around. I think he's.
Well, isn't
I thought,
Cassiope back?
yeah,
So
Cassiope might have another year.
yeah, I think Cassiope's back. So then it would be probably 97 for his freshman.
Well, did he redshirt? Was this his redshirt year?
Freshman.
No, he's still a high schooler.
Yeah.
Right, so he could redshirt a year.
Yeah, he could redshirt. I mean, he could even do an Olympic redshirt with next season.
I still think it's going to be Machiavello. That guy's a beast.
I'm just surprised to see him down so much weight because Kuda wrestled at he was like 220, 230-ish. I think he was doing some heavyweight stuff, and now he's down at like 200 pounds for this.
This is 212.
Oh, we're at 97 kilo. That's right. I saw
Yeah.
Jaden Cox, and I was like, oh, it must be 92.
Yeah, no, yeah. This is 212. So I mean, still down, but not like a
Yeah.
crazy amount.
I think that I don't think he goes 197 in college. I think he's too big. I think it's going to be the same situation we're seeing with the Wisconsin 197.
Oh, Braxton Amos.
Well, now that Hilger's gone, maybe Amos will move up.
Yeah, I think Amos moves up. I think that Cooter's going to wait for, or Keeter's going to wait for, he's going to have a redshirt year, grow a little bit more from a full 220 to like a 250, focus on freestyle for the 2024 Olympics. And then when Cassiope's out, he's in.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, Cox is my pick for winning.
100%.
I think everyone's
Yep.
pick. I think that Mike Mock versus the Iowa commit Ben Keeter is going to be the semis match to watch, assuming you're on the same side.
Right.
Well,
Yeah,
we got
I'd love to see it.
one weight to go, 125 kilos. The return, Gable Steveson.
How do you bet
this
against him?
This is a fun one. This one's got a lot of names in it. This one's got a lot of potential for
Wyatt Hendrickson, Nick
Yeah.
Wazowski, Mason Paris,
Hayden Zilmer,
Jordan
Don
Wood,
Bradley, the
Hayden
journeyman.
Zilmer.
Yeah. You failed to mention the world team member from last year. Hayden
I was
Zimmer,
getting there.
out the gate. You were listening to everyone else.
I was getting there. Well, I was surprised that Hayden Zilmer got the spot last year. But
he beat Gwiz. I mean, Gwiz
Yeah.
beat him without giving up a point in the first round, and then blew it the second, and then basically blew it the third. Like,
right, so I was surprised.
yeah,
So they apparently Zilmer, everyone at Minnesota knew Gable was coming back
yeah.
because Zilmer was like, yeah, like the coaching staff was like, this is your year to get it because Gable's coming back next year, and no offense, like you're just not as good as him. I'm surprised to see Don Bradley again. I feel like he's the ultimate journeyman in doing the U.S. Open.
Oh, he always makes the semis and then loses.
Yeah, with Don Bradley, I feel like how many U.S. Opens do you think he's done? It's got to be over 10.
Yeah, he's always the guy that like you have to beat. It's like you're rite of passage. You beat Don Bradley, then you win the world team spot. Like,
I'm looking forward to see how Hendrickson does. I think Mason Paris is jumped levels again. Gwiz.
Yeah, Mason Paris had that injury, so
yeah. Can Mason Paris beat Gable this time? Healthy.
competitive.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
You don't think so? I think it'll be interesting. A lot of people are like, oh, Gable's been doing WWE stuff. It goes, yeah, but like he's still, even by Minnesota's own coaching staff, like they say, like, yeah, he's still in the room like all the time wrestling.
Right.
I am kind of surprised that we didn't see Greg Kirkfleet enter this.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, he didn't join when Brooks Bartlett and Starochi entered. So
I think it's the same thing as David Carr, where he didn't enter either, and they're just like, yeah, we're just gonna focus on folk style and try to get a national title next year.
Right. Well,
Um,
yeah, I'd like to see Wyatt Hendrickson do what he did at the national tournament, where he just was pinning everybody. Like
so many
he's a
bonus
big
points.
dude.
He is a big
So many
dude.
points. But I mean,
Yeah.
it seems like we're all thinking Gable as the
Well, I
champ.
mean, he'll win the U.S. Open, but then there's no one in Final X waiting for him because they're gonna have the World Team trials. So, like, basically, whoever makes the finals or top 2 or 3 or 4 are gonna be right there cracking at it again to try and get the Final X to get that spot.
The question I have for you guys, and comment below too what you guys think. If Gable wins the spot, is he sticking through it for the full ride? Is he going to Final X? Is he going to the Worlds?
Right.
Is he just saying, hey, like the U.S. Open, like it's open. I'm jumping in, just to kind of show that I'm still here, kicking around, build maybe publicity for his WWE career.
That could be.
Or is he saying, hey, like I'm gonna do Worlds. I'm gonna win Worlds again. I'm gonna go for the Olympic spot in 2024, win another gold medal, and then retire again. Because he's only like
And then
20.
do it all over in 2 years.
Yeah. So
I think he's in it. I think if you're going to make the comeback, I mean, he made such a public display of leaving his mat, leaving
his
the
shoes
shoes
on that.
on the mat, announcing his retirement. I think if you're going to come back, I think he's going to make a show out of it. I mean, he loves the attention.
He's a showman.
If you've done it before, likelihood you're going to do it again, type of thing. Especially with his athleticism and ability in this sport, I don't think he's going to lose much. Yeah, he's been training in WWE, but it's not like he's been sitting on the couch for a year.
Who you think is going to be his finals matchup then?
I think we're gonna see Mason Paris in the finals against him.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that rivalry is gonna continue. I wanted to hit this at 97 kilos. Biggest guy that I'm surprised isn't entered is AJ Ferrari.
Oh right.
Yeah, I mean, so like as everyone's kind of tracking, like he's dealing with some stuff legally, and the kickback and fallback out of all that. But the U.S. Open, he could still wrestle in. I wonder if him not wrestling in it. I mean, obviously there's still time to sign up. But him not wrestling in it, I wonder if that shows that he's not coming back to college wrestling ever, because he talks about moving into MMA and all that, fighting the UFC one day.
Right.
So is he saying like, hey, like that ship has sailed? Or is there something else going on where he's just like, oh, I'm not interested? Because he talks about coming back to wrestling. His middle brother just committed to Iowa out of nowhere, where even Spencer Lee on the podcast was like, yeah, like we weren't actively recruiting him. We don't know where that came from. We wanted the youngest brother, but he, committed as well. So I guess we have him now. So, if
Consolation prize.
yeah, exactly. So I'm just very surprised. I thought AJ would be like chomping at the bit to get a chance to wrestle and show like, hey, like I'm still here. I'm still, the man.
Mm.
Yeah, but he didn't do well in freestyle the last time he competed.
Which is surprising because he loves the neutral positioning.
Right.
Maybe
he's not as dominant as he thinks he was.
Hey, hardest working, most Italian genetic, just the longest, all the tags on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, whatever he uses.
Yeah, he really does.
The best 197 ever. Obviously, forgetting there's like guys like Cale Sanderson that also wrestled 197. But hey, whatever. He's definitely in the top 10 for people that won it as a freshman.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, I think 125. I'd like to see Nick Gutstowski be a finalist again. I think he's kind of past it at this point, which is it's
yeah. And I mean, Mason Paris beat him before he got injured.
Yeah.
And then he got injured and didn't wrestle so great for a year, and now he's looking like he's back on track, I'd say. So yeah, I think you got a good argument there with Mason Paris coming in, getting to see Gable on Paris. I honestly, not that I think it'll happen. I'd love to see Paris beat Gable.
I mean, I don't know if it's impossible to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really going to be interesting to see how much Gable has missed or hasn't missed in wrestling since his retirement.
Yeah.
He's just a great athlete. I remember watching his Olympic run. Obviously, the timing was a little off for everybody, so it was super early in the morning. So on vacation with my fiance and her family, and at like 4:00, it was like 5:30 in the morning. I'm watching it on the couch, muted because I don't want anyone to wake up. I'm like, yeah. I'm not making any sound. I'm like cheering quietly in this apartment, walking in a circle. And then they're like, what, eventually at like 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, hey, did you know Gable won? Like,
Who's Gable?
leaning over, like she first wakes up, first thing she sees is I'm just staring at her face to face. I'm like, Gable Steveson did it. And she's like, I have no
Exactly
idea
what
who
I
that
need to
is.
This means nothing to me.
Yeah.
But I'm happy for your win.
Who's Gable? He
Yeah.
won what?
There you guys have it. That is your 2023 US Open men's preview. Drop some comments down below. What do you think is going to happen? Who do you think is going to surprise some people? And we'd love to hear your feedback.
Thanks for watching. We are Cactus Wrestling, and we'll see you next time on our next video.